Okay, November 24th, it is 10:15 a.m. my time. Let's take a look at some potential spots for some day trades off of the BTC USD pair, and we'll even take a look at some BSV USD as well for some day trade potential opportunities. So we are currently looking at the Bitcoin buy chart here. So if we want to get long today, I think your best bet, I think there's going to really be two spots for us to consider. First spot is going to be the bottom of this wick down here. We had this wick down bar, came down to like 55,300 or so on Hubai. I think a retest or a revisit of that could potentially be a place to catch a bounce for a day trade. If we do manage to go below that, I do have a spot that I'm looking at for a target or a potential spot to consider getting long. And let's see, that number is 53,250 roughly. So in that spot. So 53,250 roughly on Hubai. I think on FTX that is about the same, 53,250. If it does manage to take out that low. But for if you do think that this spot is going to hold, you're gonna want to wait for a revisit to below 55,700 on Hubai, and on FTX, you know, we have this wick down, the same thing. So we're talking 55,700 and below. Okay, so if we're looking to get long today to see if this zone's going to hold, don't buy here, don't buy in the middle of the range. Excuse me. We're going to buy the bottom, and so we're going to look for about 55,700 again, and then below that 53,250. Okay. On the upside, we are looking at, if the market is weak and it doesn't manage to get much strength, I'm thinking that we could just revisit the top of this range here one more time. That's 57,800 roughly. Maybe take it out by just a penny or so. Take out this high is what I mean. As a first place to consider. So if it's looking weak and you feel like this is going lower and we're not going to bounce much higher, I think 57,800 would be a safer bet to try at first. I also do really like the 58,500, we'll say, right up in here. 58,500 is another spot. So I think we either come up here and we're not strong enough that we kind of fade out, or we die right there, that 57,800, or we do manage to take out these stops here, which pushes us a little bit higher to that 58,500-ish before coming back down a little bit. So potential spots to put on a day trade or a potential multi-day trade. I think those are the levels. Again, I'll say them one more time. So 58,500 is this one. 57,800 is this one. And then we got the low down here, 55,700 or below if we're going to go long. And we're basically looking for a revisit of this wick down low. Okay. Or we have the further down level, which is 53,250. Okay. BSV. Now I'm looking at the BSV perpetual futures on FTX. Typically I look at Hubai because it seems to get the most trading, but the futures on FTX seems to get some activity as well. And so on the upside, I think if BTC heads up to that 50, probably this upper one, 57,000 sorry, hold on. If BTC heads up to this 58.5, we could see BSV heading up towards 160. Because I think that would probably line up roughly correctly. They pretty much follow each other, unfortunately. But I think a visit to pretty much 160 on BSV, you know, would be a target if you're a long, short-term target, obviously. And on the short side, nothing's really sticking out to me. I think if BTC does manage to hold this, you know, it pokes into the 55.700s and then manages to hold, then I do think this lower range on BSV will hold as well. So snapping up, so maybe BSV just takes out this low right here, just by a little bit, just kind of wicks down and then bounces back up. That would be similar to what BTC would do. So if you want to be long BSV on a short-term trade, you'd probably want to be a buyer in the 151s, 151 range. And especially if it looked like that BTC was going to hold up as well. So those are some potential levels for us to consider. I'm going to be putting some alerts in and seeing if I can play off some of those spots. But for now, November 24th in the morning, 10 o'clock, that's where we're at, and that's what I'm looking at.